Welcome to Tunnel Vision. I'm Adam Connor-Bourne. I'm joined today by Shane Smeltz. Shane, good to have you on board, mate.
Cheers, Ads. Good to be here as always, mate.
Looking at the game today, New Zealand 1, Egypt 3. A whirlwind of a game. New Zealand went in leaders at the half and then conceded 3 goals in the second half. Shane, just talk me through the game, mate. Your thoughts, your opinions and your feelings, maybe most importantly of all.
Yeah, look, a game of two halves, Adam, have to say. The way I was feeling at halftime after that performance, you start to think of where things could be. Start to visualize yourself in the second round, who you might face, looking at the table and your top, but how things can change very quickly at this level, right? The second half just wasn't good enough, I have to say, and for whatever reason, I mean, there's a number of reasons. I'm sure a little bit probably to the All Whites' own fault. I just feel like they came out and probably sat on the laurels a little bit and maybe didn't take the game to Egypt as much as they did in the first half with that quality and that belief. And that changes things. And also, you have to remember Egypt are coming out second half, also assessing things at halftime and wanting to come out and win the game. And they eventually press and get their 3 goals and get a historic win for their nation as well, because they've never won at the World Cup. So, yeah, it flipped very quickly. And obviously, we were on the wrong end of that.
Let's go right back to the start of the game. New Zealand went ahead very early. Just talk to me what you were thinking as that goal went in, as someone who's scored and assisted in a World Cup themselves.
Yeah, well, I think it was a bright start. It was, if I look back to the Iran game, it probably took the boys 5-6 minutes at least to get on the ball and start looking like the side they could be. In this game, started much brighter and carried that on throughout the first half. There were some really, really good moments. You're not going to control everything, but I think there was large patches of really, really good play. Once again, getting the ball down, winning second phase balls a lot, and I think that's been a platform for the All Whites doing really well in Iran against Iran and the first half against Egypt. And then off the back of some good play, almost pushing for a goal, won a corner, and then from that corner, score the first goal, right, with Finn Sermon rising highest and losing his man and scoring a fantastic header. So a really proud moment for him to get on the score sheet and score his first World Cup goal at such a young age as well. So we were really comfortable till then. And then even after that, I think the confidence builds again. And going into halftime, I really felt like, as long as we continue being brave and playing the right style of football, there was 3 points to get from this and take out the first win at a World Cup. And then, as I say, you're starting to look ahead of where you could be sitting in Group 2.
It almost looked like Finn Sermon wasn't being marked. He had so much space and so much time. He leapt incredibly high. I will say that. He looked like he was about 10 feet off the ground when he got his head on that ball. So you work your way through that first half and look comfortable, I would say. I think you're completely right. There's all these moments that you can think back to and these bits of hold-up play and these passing patterns that happen. New Zealand look like they're really going into the half, dominating in some ways. You then get to half-time and Egypt come out after half-time looking almost a different team. Just talk me through what you think changed at half-time and what was different in the second half to the first half, which ultimately led to Egypt getting the better of the result in the end.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, as I mentioned, the success of this side so far, albeit leaving out the second half there against Egypt, has been the platform of this side doing really well by playing in opposition half and being comfortable on the ball, winning second phase and winning second balls. And that's been allowing players to get forward in better, more advanced areas and cause problems. We didn't see that enough in the second half. I think we sort of reverted to a little bit of an old style that I've seen many times before in the All Whites, and it looked like a side that was either wanting to sit a little deeper and preserve something, or getting a little bit stretched and allowing clever players like Mo Salah to get themselves in sort of 1v1 positions where you obviously just can't do that at this level. So like I don't know if I wasn't there at halftime or I'm not in the dressing room. I don't know what was said, but it looked like there was a bit of a mentality shift from going out and going to win this game, or on the flip side of that, preserving a lead and trying to take something from the game. So it can be just a slight mental shift, and then you give a side like Egypt a sniff, and they obviously, with the quality that they have, can turn that into real quality.
Mo Salah, one of the best players in the history of football, I would say, probably the best African player to ever play. He's certainly done jobs for Liverpool over the last many years. In a previous pod, Shane, you mentioned about New Zealand's playing style being brave, especially in relation to Australia. So Australia obviously playing that back five and playing in a way that prevented them losing, I would say, as opposed to made them win. When you look at New Zealand, they're playing that 4-3-3, sometimes a 4-4-2, depending on phase of transition you're in. But at that 4-3-3, and the real bravery there. Now, do you think that the bravery that needs to be shown for playing that formation, playing that style, has hindered New Zealand today?
No, not at all. I think that was the recipe, because if you look at the two games, for me, there was one poor half, right? So out of the two games, there's been a lot of positive moments. And I think that's come down to that bravery, that belief in the style that they're playing now, in getting boys in more advanced positions and getting them on the ball to hurt teams in and around Chris Wood, boys facing forwards, and winning that second ball has been a big factor. And they did that really well in the first half. I just feel like if you take your foot off the pedal a little bit at this level, and you start to lose that belief, and that quality comes down, then you're in trouble. And as we saw today, it doesn't take much for momentum to shift and swing another way. And I just feel like, yeah, it was probably more a mentality, maybe a little bit of experience with some players, and they, can get on top of you very quickly, and it did there in the second half.
I thought Chris Wood looked quite isolated today, lacking some effectiveness compared to the Iran game, most definitely. I suppose from where you're sitting as a former striker yourself, Shane, do you think Chris Wood was given enough service today, or do you think he could have done more himself to try and get on the ball or make himself more effective in that role?
Well, as I say, the first half, I didn't see many issues at all, to be honest. And probably could have even scored another goal. Chris Wood was still getting on the ball. He was bringing other players into play. Maybe not as much as the Iran game, and probably didn't get players maybe close enough to him as we did in the previous game. But he was still very effective, and there was some really good moments going forward. I just feel like that bravery we're talking about also needs quality. And there was too many moments where in the second half, even coming from as deep as the goalkeeper, we're trying to release the ball super quick and get up the field, and we just weren't set. And then if you get players isolated, and they were doing quite well in the second half, Egypt, in terms of pressing, and hunting in packs, and they were winning the back of the ball a lot more than they did in the first half. So that quality of just retaining that first two or three passes from the All Whites has been very good in the last game and against Iran, and obviously here in the first half. And we just missed that in the second half. And as I say, things unravel as soon as you lose that quality or that belief, and you allow players like Mo Salah to start dictating, you're in trouble.
New Zealand now sit bottom of the group. In what I will say is quite an odd group. Everyone expected Belgium to absolutely fly through, no trouble at all. They're yet to win in the group. New Zealand sit bottom. Looking forward to that game against Belgium in a few days. What's your kind of thoughts and expectations going into that, Shane? Do you see that bravery continuing, or do you think there should be a change of tactics from New Zealand?
Look, the guys are going to have to go back to the hotel and reassess things. So they're going to need a bit of time to digest that performance and look at it and see where things went wrong in the second half. I'm sure they've got their own ideas about that. But for me, there's a recipe there from last game and the first half against Egypt that they need to bottle and take into the match against Belgium. Belgium are not in any great form if you look at their two games. They're a fantastic side on paper. They're a top 10 nation in the world, but they haven't hit their stride yet. And let's hope they don't in the final group match as well. And looking at the table, it's wide open, and they probably look at it and go, we need a result as well, right? So it's not going to be an easy match. There's a lot at stake, but you have to take the positives. There's no time now at the World Cup with one game to go in the group to start getting too disappointed and worrying about things. You have to look at the positives. You have to clean up a few of the aspects that didn't work today. And you have to genuinely believe you can pull out a big result against Belgium.
Belgium are going to come at this knowing they need a win. And the opportunity is New Zealand can exploit that. There will be space. They will be hunting the game down to try and get those 3 points. That bravery that you spoke about in the next game could be the key for me. It allows New Zealand to play in a way where they can exploit Belgium and exploit the desires of Belgium to get their first win of this World Cup.
Yeah, I think if you analyse it, as I say, they're not in great form. They failed to score today against Iran, which I think everyone expected them to roll them over. They copped a red card. Doku, who I think is probably their best winger and creator, didn't start for whatever reason. Has he got a knock? Is he injured? I'm not sure. But let's hope a few things. You need a little bit of luck as well against your big nations. But I think going into it, the guys are just, as I say, going to have to pick themselves up off the floor right now. It's going to hurt this result because, let's be honest, at halftime, you probably felt Egypt were there for the taking. There was 3 points to grab and take home. And you're on the verge of creating history in terms of first win at the World Cup, going through to the next round at the World Cup. And as I say, it falls away very quickly. But there's no time to stress about this now. There's one game to go and you have to put in a big performance.
Final one from me, Shane. Do you think New Zealand will get their first World Cup win against Belgium in round 3 of the 2026 World Cup?
I want to believe. And I still will believe. I'll back them all the way. I genuinely think this World Cup, more than ever, is made for big results, for big upsets. And I think this will be one. This would be a hell of a story if the guys can get what's needed against Belgium. Would I have said that before the World Cup? Probably not, because looking at it, I think the opportunity's been there against Iran and certainly today against Egypt. I think there was more points to grab from those two games. And I feel like the guys should be sitting on 4 points now, which would put them through to the second round. Not to be. The script is not perfect always, and they're going to have to write their own script here. And generally, if they can believe in it, it's absolutely possible.
Well, that is all from us today on Tunnel Vision. I am Adam Connor-Bourne. I've been joined today by New Zealand legend Shane Smeltz. Shane, thank you very much. We'll see you again soon, mate.
Cheers, Ads. Thanks for having me.